Welcome everybody, it's Sylvie McCracken with sylviemccracken.com. Today I have one of my incredible clients, Kristin Ryman, who is a doc that specializes in Lyme. Welcome Kristin, thanks for being here today.
Thanks Sylvie for asking me. I'm so happy to join.
Yeah, so super excited to bring on Kristin, who is going to share a couple of things that happened to her during our time together. But first of all, I just wanted to ask you, Kristin, what made you, decide you wanted to write a book? What made you decide that you wanted to do something different than your one-on-one practice?
So I actually have three little practices, or have had three little practices. And about March, I learned that the hospital job I have, which was basically supervising the care that residents in family medicine give their patients in their clinic, I learned that that was going away. They wanted me to shift back to clinical time, and I really didn't want to do that. I wanted to remain in an educational role in the hospital so I could maintain my private practice. So I was sort of at a crossroads when I learned about your course, and had been thinking about writing a book and thinking about doing some groups and some different kind of consultation styles that would allow me to have a larger impact for a while. So when I was on Facebook one morning and got the advertisement for the free webinar on passive incomes with ebooks, I was like, that sounds exactly like what I'm looking for. Yeah. To replace my income, but also to have a wider impact without just cranking away and seeing a million more patients, which is frankly not sustainable for me because I've had Lyme, and part of my maintenance of my own rock star status is to not overdo it. Yeah. So I guess the other thing that kind of had been going on was for the last 6 months to a year, I'd been meeting with new patients who would say things like, oh my gosh, that was so helpful. Is there a book that you've written that I could go to? Or do you have a website with all this on it? And I'd be like, no, I hope you took good notes, because that was the book.
Right, you have to come see me for 10 more hours and I can tell it to you over and over again.
Right, or people saying, okay, where's your TED Talk? And I'm like, did you hit the record button? Because that was the TED Talk. So it was kind of like this perfect convergence of knowing something had to change, really practically speaking, something really having to change so I could find a way to replace some income, but also knowing that I couldn't keep doing it the way I was doing it. So when I got that, and I'm kind of an old lady when it comes to technology. I'm never on Facebook. I was literally on Facebook for 5 seconds, and I have no idea how your post ended up on my page because I don't really understand Facebook or how it works. But I was like, oh, that's synchronicity. I'm clearly going to listen to that free webinar.
Well, it sounds like it was a convergence of signs all happening at once.
All at once. It was a perfect storm. And during the webinar, I was just like, yep, sign me up. How long do I have to wait for this conversation? Sign me up.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, and that's pretty much the same energy that you've brought into the exact, into every piece of the process. And then of course, we always joke, we back and forth, we've been calling Kristin, she signs off as old lady and I call her, hey, old lady, just from this technology thing, which I love that even despite not being, the tech savviest person on the planet, you've found a way, you haven't made excuses, you've found a way to make it happen. And so can you share with people just kind of what happened even in terms of the pre-sales of your book recently, that you just kind of did it with, your list size and all of that?
Yeah, so it was also kind of an interesting perfect storm because I was actually on vacation the second day that you sent out that, or maybe I missed it because I was traveling the day you sent out the kind of request. Do you guys have a list yet? Do you want to be involved, know how to do a pre-sale? And so I kind of missed the boat, and maybe I even didn't understand the question because I didn't know what a list was. Yeah. So I was really appreciative that you kind of reached out afterwards and said, hey, Kristin, do you have a list? I didn't see your name on our list of people with lists. Yeah. And we clarified what that meant. And then I realized there was an opportunity to jump into something that sounded like it was new and maybe going to be offered as part of the ebook engine course later. And I was like, why not? I'm on vacation. I have a little bit of extra time. I'm on the wrong time zone. I'm awake when other people aren't. And so I was able to kind of compile my list, picking it out of my email, and send out about 400 emails.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. And so you sent it out to your list of, were these prior patients and
mostly prior patients. I had like 3 different tribes. I had like my prior patient list. I had a list of people who had been kind of following along several years ago when I was sort of starting a wellness center. Yeah. And so people who had been kind of like following and interested and wanting to do stuff with me in that regard. And then I also sent it to some hand-picked family medicine people in my program and some medical students and residents who follow what I do.
So, I love that because, I mean, officially, you didn't even have an official, compiled email list. You sort of kind of, just band-aided it together and made it happen. So, and then you just followed our process exactly as we laid it out. And so how many pre-sales did you make in that little experiment?
So glad you asked. I just checked my eJunkie page right before the call, and 61 so far.
Wow. I love that. Okay. Just so from this like makeshift email list, you made 61 sales right away. That is amazing. And what is the official launch date?
October 1st.
Okay, that's amazing. So the book isn't even done. You've already got, you know, money in hand. And then also you've got now a heck of a kick in the butt to really make it happen by October 1st. Is that right?
Yep, yep. And these aren't even the folks I thought would want to buy it necessarily, because they're people who sort of are already drinking the Kool-Aid or know my process or whatever. But it definitely, and it's 61, but it honestly could have been 2 to make me be like, oh my God, I really have to get this thing done. So
yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because really, you know, like 2 is what I feel like, okay, great. We did pre-sales, fantastic. People want it. It's validated. Now we have a kick in the butt. We've offered it. We've promised it at a certain date. No time for excuses. Let's get to work. But you really took that to the next level, and you did that with that little bit of a makeshift list. So no website, no list, no book done, but you've already made 61 sales. I absolutely adore that. So I love, Kristin, you know, what you shared in terms of the actual tangible results with, you know, in terms of the pre-sales. And of course, you know, part of the reason you do it is to create that passive income stream for yourself. But a lot of the times what we find is it's not only just those business results. And of course, you're still in the early days of that. And I can't wait to talk to you a year from now and see what you do with all of that. But a lot of times we see this kind of trickle over into the personal realm as well. So I'm curious if any of this, transformation happened in your personal life as well, whether it's in your mindset or in your personal relationships or in your personal life at all.
I love that question. And to me, it reminds me of just how grateful I am for how much your team takes the whole transformation piece seriously. I mean, that's actually what my practice is about. So it's been I don't know if you know that, it's been a really nice kind of resonance with what I do with my patients.
Yeah.
You know, help them really work through mindset issues and sort of limiting beliefs that keep them from being able to take the steps that keep them moving towards their goal.
Yeah.
So it's been hugely validating and also fun to be on the other side of that. And yes, I would say that, you know, the first part of our course where we read the book that is so immensely useful for every human being on the planet, and I've been sharing it with everyone I know. Has been that in of itself was worth a ton of the investment, because there's nothing more important than like delivering the thing to the planet that you're supposed to deliver. Yeah. So that's kind of become my mantra, honestly. Like it's articulated for me and crystallized something that I've been trying to talk to patients about for a long time, but it just made it so simple.
Yeah. So are you finding yourself passing that on? Is there like, I love seeing that domino effect a lot of the times when it really doesn't just change your life or your life with your spouse or your kids or whatever, but it goes into the hundreds of people that you see. Are you taking that into your work as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think as often as I could share that book on Audible, I shared it until they stopped letting me share it.
I didn't even know that.
You have to read this book. Like, I want everyone on the planet to have the same awareness of their potential and the fact that they're the only one in their way.
Yeah. Well, the mindset piece is absolutely crucial. Absolutely crucial. So, and of course, you know, a lot of times those ripple effects are sort of compounding over time. So can you give us any sort of concrete example of a shift that you've made, you know, in terms of mindset, or how it's happened in your personal life or in your day to day?
Yes. So one of the big things that I've had to overcome internally in the last 5 years, it's not unique to just this ebooks course, but this ebooks course did take it to the next level. Yeah. This idea of if I go out in this different way and be in the world as a doctor in this different way, which involves you know, not just a bunch of one-on-one encounters for a big network or you know, for someone else who's doing all this other groundwork. If I'm spending time building a business and not seeing patients, for example, then I'm not doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing. Like, that was a real limiting belief for me. Yeah. And I had overcome quite a bit of that in order to take the step out several years ago and start my own practice out of my home. Yeah. But every step of the way, like every little ooch that I make in a direction that isn't just what I was sort of trained to do has been a struggle for me. And I think what it comes down to, and I still have issues with the idea of like, I'm writing an ebook, not just so I can share all this helpful information and help people transform their lives, but I also have to make money. Yeah, like, absolutely. I'm replacing half my income as of this past June. So That's been a struggle for me because I don't like, there's a tension there that feels like a conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, of course, I am aware that I am working and serving, and I've always collected a salary. It wasn't really that much different.
Yeah.
So that's a piece that I struggle with. And so every step of the way in which I'm asked to, and especially in your course, because a lot of the course we're asked to kind of sort of jump through these hoops and meet these milestones that involve marketing ourselves.
Yeah.
That to me always triggers that little piece of me that's like, I don't want to market myself. I want to help people, I want to sit with people and bear witness to their vulnerability and help them transform their lives.
You know, it's such an interesting thing you bring up, and I'm glad you bring it up because this is so not unique to you. It's so not, you know, the first or the last time we've heard it, but it's fascinating because if you think about it, it's actually a lot more costly to the patient to come see you 10 times for you to be able to give them the information that you can give them for $25. But it's like you said, it's because we've always done it that way where that just feels normal. Well, of course you're going to be paid 100, 200, whatever for your time. That's normal because we've been doing that for what, a century? But this, you know, is we're newer to this. This is maybe we're 20 years into, you know, what the heck is this internet thing? And so it's a little newer. And especially for docs to be able to kind of go outside of that traditional one-on-one model, it sort of, it trickles that sort of, what is it? It's like a little mindset demon, I think, right? Because when you think about it logically, and I love every once in a while I invest 15 minutes in arguing with a troll on a Facebook ad. Every once in a while, I swear.
Just for ticks.
Just for fun. And then I screenshot it and send it to my Facebook ad person who just doesn't know what to do with me. But, you know, it really is, it's a fascinating thing because if you think about it, it is sort of a win-win-win for, you know, for just about everyone other than maybe, I don't know, maybe hospitals. But like really, truly, you know, seeing a patient over and over again for $150 or $200 a session, you know, for thousands of dollars for 80% of the visit to be focused on things that apply to everybody and 20% of it to be on what really is their individual thing. You know, I mean, maybe we could at least sort of start thinking about, isn't that the worst way to deliver care?
Yeah.
You know?
No, I mean, everything you say is right. It's just more of a habit of mind and a habit of default. But I mean, I love one of the images you gave in one of your early mindset talks was about this concept of a table. And so the table is the foundation of your goals and all your movement forward. And the legs of the table sort of are evidence that support that this is going to be possible. Yeah. I'm not phrasing it as well as you did.
That's okay.
I think about like the different, you know, mantras and reminders and things like that you just said about, you know, you have more impact and this is actually the best way to do it that way. And the truth is also, it's really in alignment with who I am and what I want to be for patients to give them something. And then have them, you know, empower them with the information that they can then go home and do their work. You know, this is really, you know, healing's all self-healing, really. I'm not healing anybody. I'm just sharing, and I've got a big love here, and I've got some pom-poms, but it's not like I'm doing the work. So I'm hopeful that this will just be one more way in which I give people at a much cheaper rate the information they need to go themselves.
And of course, you know, there is that refinement and that one-on-one, you know, nobody is planning on replacing one-on-one docs. We absolutely need you guys for so many different things, but it's more about, let's not have it be for the same old conversation or for 80% of what you're repeating yourself. So a lot of my GPs are telling me, you know, that they're just so tired of having that conversation that, you know, to boil it, to really simplify it. And I'm sure I'm butchering the heck out of it, but really one of my doc clients literally told me that he grabbed the big gulp or whatever it was, the soda about this big, during the office visit with the client, just grabbed it from his hand and put it in the trash can. And I thought that's pretty much the conversation I'm sure he's having 84 times a week. And at a certain point, it's sort of like, can we do this in a more leveraged way and maybe start talking about, okay, you've done all of this. What is your individual situation? Let's do your labs and figure out what is the last piece that you need versus, you know, the next guy. And use the one-on-one model for that. That would be amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's really our goal. So our goal is really to impact thousands of, you know, people through, you know, thousands of practitioners for you guys to go, you know, impact millions in all of these different you know, specialties that we certainly are not the experts in. So I'm so honored, Kristin, that you, you know, decided to really roll up your sleeves and do the work, because let's face it, there's nothing magic or overnight about this. It was really you doing the work and to really help people with Lyme. And so I don't butcher, I'm going to read the title of your book so that people can look out for it on October 1st. Help me, guys, hold Kristin to it. Which is Life After Lyme, Revive Your Inner Rockstar and Achieve a Full Recovery. So that is going to make amazing ripples in the Lyme community, and it's going to be so, 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 so helpful. So thank you for doing that, Kristin. And we're going to post a link to Kristin's website, which will be up shortly below this video, so you can check that out as well. Is there anything else in the meantime that you'd like to share with people who are watching?
Just first of all, thanks for that plug and for those kind words and for your vote of confidence in my project. I want to say one other thing, which is that you asked about obstacles. There was like, I think if I had known that I was going to be writing a 150-page book, I would have been like, I would have freaked out and been like, there's no way I can do that. I'm thinking, and I think the little sort of mental trick I had going into this in the beginning was, I mean, I'd never really purchased an ebook. I'd never sort of seen an ebook. So I was sort of imagining, oh, it's kind of probably like a glossy 35-page PDF.
Yeah.
I can already see the design and I can already see the parameters. And, you know, my outline might've been 35 pages. I mean, it was,
yeah, we're making legit books here. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was, for me, it was like a little bit of a leap of faith, and also kind of ignoring the inner part that said, it's going to be longer. It's going to be longer. I'm like, shh. I'm cranking along. I'm not going to worry. So for people who think they can't do it, you know, I had 3 jobs up until June 15th. I have 4 kids. One of my jobs, I drive an hour each way. Like I need 8.5 hours of sleep. There's a lot on my plate. I also make all of our meals from whole real foods because I'm kind of fanatical with that. Yeah. So there's a lot going on, and there's nothing like channeling the thing you're supposed to deliver to the world to energize you. I mean, I would, in the beginning of this, I would wake up at 5 in the morning and be like, oh, I'm gonna write. It would just like, it would, the energy of this project has been so positively affirming and helpful to the success of the project. And I'm, you know, 3/4 of the way done with a probably 150-page ebook.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's really not that long of a time. And I feel like, I mean, it looked really, just to recap it, I mean, not only did you jump into this with 4 kids, with, you know, recovering from Lyme yourself, with, you know, eating a real whole food diet, with 3 jobs that have now become 2, with an hour commute, you made 61 pre-sales with no list, that you were copy pasting 1 email at a time. And, you know, you have a launch date of October 1st, which is imminent. And, you know, I mean, this is crazy. And then it's also, you know, trickled into your personal life, and you're taking it into your patients as well in terms of teaching them mindset and whatever else. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal, Kristin. So I give you a lot of props for accomplishing all of that in basically a quarter.
Thank you, Sylvie. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's really, really incredible. And I think, you know, part of it is really just because, you know, you're just, excuses are not a part of your life. And you're like, I don't know tech. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to figure it out. And what email do I send? Okay, great. Copy, paste. I'm sending that. I love it. You're just an implementer. So that's fantastic. Anyway, thank you so much, Kristin, for sharing all of that. For everyone watching, if you'd like to create an ebook, if this is the year you're going to finally do it, if this is the quarter you're going to finally do it, I invite you to book a call with my team. The link will be below the video, which is sylviemccracken.com/call, and we'll get on a call and figure out whether we can help you or not, whether the time is now, whether the expertise is what is required to make it happen, and if we can help you, we'll absolutely show you how. All right, so I'll put that link below the video, and we'll talk to you guys very, very soon.